Now unto the one who calls us to be neighbors to the world, who asks us to receive the love that he has for us so that we might give it away. To the only wise God, our Savior, be glory, power, dominion, majesty, and honor forever and ever. And the people of God said, you may be seated in God's presence. And won't you join us now for the congregational response? Lord, I want to be a Christian.
Your hometown radio station since 1949. We are WRMN AM 1410, Elgin time, 12 o'clock.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Michael Harrington. Vice President Kamala Harris is on a bus tour today ahead of the Democratic National Convention.
Harris, her running mate, Governor Tim Walz, and their spouses are taking a campaign swing through battleground Pennsylvania on the eve of the DNC. The bus tour is making stops in Pittsburgh and other towns in western PA before the Democratic ticket arrives here in Chicago for their party convention. Both campaigns are focused on must-win Pennsylvania. Yesterday, Donald Trump held a rally in Wilkes-Barre, hoping to attract support from conservative white working-class voters near Joe Biden's hometown. Greg Clugston, Chicago.
Federal health officials on a major offensive to test the heart and lung function of rural people in the South.
Studies have shown rural populations in the U.S. are unhealthier and have lower life expectancy than Americans in urban areas. So public health officials are using a 52-foot-long trailer filled with instruments to examine calcium in the arteries, the structure of the heart, lung capacity, and other indicators to analyze what's going on. They'll be checking people in Alabama, Kentucky, Louisiana, and Mississippi, where poverty and smoking rates are high, while access to good health care and nutrition is limited. I'm Jackie Quinn.
Ukraine has destroyed a key bridge in Russia's western Kursk region and struck a second one nearby, a dozen days into its cross-border incursion in an apparent attempt to sever Russian supply lines. Hurricane Ernesto has weakened into a tropical storm and is moving away from Bermuda over open waters of the Atlantic after crossing over the tiny British territory yesterday with heavy rains and strong winds. More of these stories at townhall.com.
Our government has engorged itself on borrowed money. Now we are over $30 trillion in debt. If this bubble finally implodes, many Americans would be left penniless and heartbroken. For example, what happens if state and federal pension funds go broke? Or if 401ks and IRAs get cut in half due to hyperinflation? Hi, I'm Lance Wallnow, news analyst, best-selling author, and evangelical leader to millions of people just like you. People who understand something big is coming. Now's the time to prepare with a physical gold IRA from Birch Gold Group. Precious metals are among the most proven hedges you can make. And they're even better inside a tax advantage account. To get a free info kit on gold IRAs, text the word FAITH, F-A-I-T-H, to 989898. Birch Gold Group is the only gold company I trust. Get their free info kit and see why a gold IRA can help you. There are no strings attached, so just text FAITH to the number 989898 right now, and I pray you are blessed with continued prosperity.
Priceless paintings by Monet, Cezanne, Van Gogh, and others safe after firefighters worked to douse a blaze at Britain's Somerset House. Smoke and flames could be seen coming from the roof in London on Saturday about noon and had been knocked down as firefighters continue to put out the final pockets of flame. The fire brigade says the cause is under investigation. Somerset House says all staff and the public were safe. The venue had been scheduled to host a breakdancing event. The neoclassical building, nearly 250 years old, houses the Cortel Gallery. The gallery is scheduled to reopen later on today. Poland's prime minister reacting to reports that revived speculation about who blew up the Nord Stream pipelines in 2022. Donald Tusk says that the initiators of the gas pipeline should apologize and keep quiet. Wall Street Journal says Ukrainians did it, but something Poland had a hand. News and analysis at townhall.com. Japan's economy grew at an annual rate of 3.1% last quarter.
The economy rebounded from the contraction in the previous quarter. Government data shows the world's fourth largest economy grew 0.8% in the fiscal first quarter. Japan's domestic demand in the April to June quarter grew a robust 3.5% on the back of healthy household consumption and private sector investments, as well as government investments.
Correspondent Jeremy House. Today is Sunday, August the 18th. It's the 231st day of 2024. On this date in history, 1590, John White, who was the governor of the Roanoke Island Colony in present-day North Carolina, returned to Roanoke after nearly 3 years abroad. There he found the settlement deserted, and the fate of the lost colony remains a mystery to this day. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Political party poopers got you down? Shake it off and join me, Dennis Sonar Green, every weekday from 4 to 6 p.m. on WRMN for A Political Talk Show, where we cut through the doom and gloom with a focus on America first, constitutional values, and a populist perspective that puts you, the citizen, at the center of the conversation. At WRMN, the talk of the town, we're not afraid to challenge the status quo and bring you the straight talk you need need. Whether you're frustrated with the political establishment or looking for a clear, some nonsense analysis, this show has you covered. Tune in. Let's take on the issues together with a fresh, unfiltered approach. Catch us every weekday from 4 to 6 p.m. on WRMN, a political talk show. WRMN, the talk of the town.
Oh yeah, and welcome back to the show. This is the truth about Chicago sports with Rico and Mac. WRMN 1410 Elgin, Illinois. Let's go. So we're going to start with the local news today. Chicago White Sox were defeated 6-1 by the Houston Astros on the road. Jose Altuve drove in a pair of runs, along with Yarner Diaz registered his team-leading 68th RBI. Hunter Brown struck out 6 of the White Sox as they were defeated on Saturday night. The White Sox look to bounce back today. Game time will be at 1:10 as they look to try to come and win the series from the Houston Astros. The Chicago Cubs went on to win 3-2 against the Toronto Blue Jays at home. Ian Happ homered in the first inning, and Michael Busch added 2-run triple as the Cubs were able to down the Toronto Blue Jays for the second time, and will be looking to go for the sweep today. Game time will be at 1:20. 1:20 as the Chicago Cubs look to sweep the Toronto Blue Jays at home. Chicago Sparks rallied in the fourth to defeat the Los Angeles Sparks 90-86. Angel Reese had a key bucket to seal the deal down the stretch as the Chicago Sky bounced back after losing their first game from returning from break. They'll be looking to take on the Phoenix Mercury today. Game time will be at 8 o'clock. 8 o'clock today as they take on the Phoenix Mercury on the road. Chicago Bears beat the Cincinnati Bengals in their third preseason game 27-3. Caleb Williams shined as he ran in a touchdown and had a beautiful 45-yard connection to Rome Doomsday in the second quarter. Chicago Bears will now be playing their fourth preseason game next week, where most of the starters probably will sit when they play the Kansas City Chiefs on the 22nd. This has been your local news brought to you by WRMN 1410 and the Schaumburg Boomers. Remember to go out and feel the boom. And now let's get the show going. Rico, welcome, my friend. How's it going?
It's going great. As usual, Mac, thanks for having me. And yeah, man, looking forward to talking a little bit about Chicago sports again.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. And once again, to all our listeners out there, don't hesitate to call in. We take all calls. We love to sit and chat with you. 847-931-1410. That's once again 847-931-1410. Call us in and let's chat. Let's talk some sports. Rico, we had a huge day yesterday because we got a chance to see the kids shine at home. And we did our post-game show last night, recap, which was awesome. Mm-hmm. We'll be streaming on the YouTube channel here, and it's already streaming on Spotify. Like we covered yesterday, let's go ahead and get back into that again. I looked over film. I rewatched highlights. What did you see from Caleb that just got you so excited?
Well, I think that one of the things looking back is how he really came out of an adverse situation. Because, you know, if you were looking at this football game, the Chicago Bears didn't start off well offensively. In fact, he went 0-3 to start off. And so, you know, it could have been easy for the coaching staff to say, okay, you know, we've seen enough. but they rode with Caleb Williams. He was able to make a big play down the field, even though it didn't count. He got a pass interference drawn there. And then we got a chance to see just how spectacular he is at being elusive in the pocket. And we talked about it last night, and I'm totally on board with you. I think that we could have a generational player that we've never seen a quarterback escape pockets like this and continue to keep his eyes down the field. As a rookie, you can only imagine what's going to happen when he gets into year 4, 5, 6, and so on, as he continues to stay healthy as well, and these playmakers continue to grow with him.
Yes, the special plays are what definitely just jumps off the page. And I also like that he completes the simple. And I know some people are like, what is it? Yes, the simple things are so important, and it's something that a lot of previous quarterbacks were unable to do. And Caleb can do the simple things very well, but then he also adds that special play element. That pass to Roma Doomsday, he threw that with his right hand on the move across his body. That is something you tell a quarterback to do not ever do. And he did it effortlessly. The pass was perfect, right on target. And we're talking about something that you teach quarterbacks don't do that because they can't. And yet Caleb has the ability to do that. That's something very special.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, the same thing is just like we were talking about last night when we were referring to Patrick Mahomes, and we were talking about his game that he played and the backwards pass that he did in yesterday's preseason game. And I think that might be Caleb Williams' specialty. It's just the throws across the body with the feet not set and then putting it on the money. He might be that quarterback that we look at, like we said, just in the future and go, well, there's nobody that's been able to just really not have his feet set. It doesn't look like the mechanics are going to be there, but he's able to put it right in the breadbasket or deliver it in the bucket. You just can't explain it, okay? And that's the thing, and it's so many things that are translating from USC early into the NFL right now that you have to be really excited about it, because that's what we talked about as well. It's just, how quickly can what we saw on tape and on film at USC translate to the NFL, and it's immediate.
Immediate, yes, indeed. This is Rico and Mac and the Truth About Chicago Sports on WRMN 1410 AM in Elgin, Illinois. As we're sitting here breaking down the Chicago Bears, we will be joined by Robert Little later on in the show. Robert Little will be joining a great guest of the show, and we'll be sitting and talking a little Chicago Sky with him and Chicago Bears. But right now, we've got a Victory Sunday, and we're talking all Chicago Bears right now. Call in, talk with us, give us your questions, your thoughts. Caleb Williams' debut at home was spectacular and delivered everything that the fans wanted, excluding myself. And I'll tell you, Rico, the Caleb hype is real and palpable, but, the Roma Doomsday hype is starting to grow too. And I'm telling you, Rome is special. Rome is special. We're really starting to see that. I mean, he will be the Bears' number one wideout before it's all said and done. Maybe not this year, but by next year, Roma Doomsday will be the Bears' wide receiver one.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, the passing of the torch is coming for sure. I mean, I think that you have a player like Keenan Allen to show you how to be a pro, how to get things done. But athletically, I mean, there's some things that Rome does that it's just special. Like, just going back and looking at what he did yesterday with that end-around play, being able to get the ball in space, and then he really showed his speed. And then on that 45-yard dart from Caleb, his ability, right, to track the football, right, not take his eyes off the football, continue to be full speed. I mean, had the corner not made a great play, that would have been a touchdown, okay, because that was a terrific over-the-shoulder catch. And there's players in the league that have been in the league for 5-6 years, and you're wondering where is that at, right? And so he is showing us some things already that elite receivers really don't learn to do in the NFL, for quite some time, because that was on a scramble drill too. So, I mean, for him to know where his quarterback is, the sense of field awareness, there's a lot of things that we like about what Rome Odunze did yesterday.
Yes, indeed. And then we got to also send a shout out to Dante Pettis, a guy that's definitely fighting for a roster spot to be that sixth wide receiver on the team. Because when you really break this down, we already know who our top four are. It's going to be a Doomsday. It's going to be Keenan Allen. It's going to be Moore. Then Tyler Scott. That's your top four right there. Now you got the last two spots out in the wind. And I know that Colin Johnson has been banged up a little bit, but when he was on the field, he showed tremendous upside. And Dante Pettis, who's been on the team for the last couple of years, is tremendous in special teams and is a good blocker, is showing the ability to be able to make catches and make plays. So I'm telling you right now, hats off to him for possibly solidifying himself as the sixth wide receiver on this team. And if your sixth wide receiver can go out there and get you 2 touchdowns in the preseason, let me tell you, that shows some real depth on your roster.
Yeah, and it should be added that Pettis is a veteran. I believe he's played for the San Francisco 49ers, and he was in a winning situation when he played there. So these are the type of locker room players that you want over there. These are guys that, Caleb Williams is going to be able to lean into, all right, when it's like, hey, things are going a little bit tough. And he's that type of player that's like, okay, this is what I'm seeing out here. We still believe in you. Just, settle down and we got you. And so you need those type of players on your team. And so I think that, it's great that he's able to find a role. That's what you want from him in the preseason, to be able to show that, hey, if guys go down, because look, Keenan Allen, he's been injury prone a little bit when he was with the Chargers. So if something does happen, you're going to need somebody to slide in and make some plays out there for you. So yes.
Yes, the depth, I honestly feel it's great and it's very important. Keenan Allen hasn't finished a full season in quite some time, and that's pretty much being a veteran too. You're more trying to save yourself for the long haul playoffs, especially. And so you're definitely it's gonna be room for guys to step in and make plays, and I love that we've got guys that can do that. And I know that we haven't seen, like I said, we haven't seen Colin Johnson since that Hall of Fame game, but I mean, what I saw in that game, that sample size alone was enough to really, I think, be eye-opening, not just for the fans, but for coaches as well. And, they have to make some difficult decisions. This is a tough 53-man roster. Finally, the Bears have a competitive, very strong 53-man roster, and cuts are going to be hard. I mean, it's going to be hard to let go of Austin Reed at quarterback. But sorry, we don't need 4 quarterbacks. It's going to be hard to let go of Travis Homer at running back. But the reality is, do we need to keep 4 running backs? It's going to be hard for even Velus Jones to make this team. And I know that they tried to do the running back experiment. He scored last week, but this week it looked very pedestrian. And so I just feel like that, it is a situation where when you are literally sitting here nitpicking the bottom of the barrel, your team is strong. Your team is strong. And that says, and man, where's right? We've been waiting on this for some time. And, it's funny because when polls came into this, it was like, how are we gonna go about this? And the moves he made, little ones here, little ones there, everybody was getting a little antsy, and now it's like that puzzle, right? A little piece here, and now all of a sudden we see the big picture, and I'm telling you, it's beautiful. It's beautiful, brother.
Yeah, and you know what? You hit on a lot of points because, you talked about Ryan Poles, and I think he's still being aggressive, right? So if you looked at this telecast, he talked about the fact that they might have even been exploring looking into Matthew Judon's situation in New England before he was traded to Atlanta. Just kind of letting the fans know
they did.
Yeah. And he's letting the fans know that, look, I am still openly exploring all possibilities to make this team better. He talked about the fact that, look, I like what Austin Booker's shown. I like Dominic Robinson and his development, but we are exploring every opportunity. And you talked about Velus Jones. Yes, he was a bit pedestrian because he's making a transition to running back, and the vision is not there, and those instincts as a runner is not there, but he's still talented. But it is a crowded backfield. And yes, you're right. I mean, this roster is super competitive on the defensive end and then also to the offensive end. We're not even talking about the corners, right? We're not talking about the amount of corners that the Bears have, that they just basically have a good rotation of corners that can actually play football too as well. So this is a roster in which, yes, you are going to have to literally, I mean, the people that get cut off the roster, I think that they're going to be just fine in the NFL somewhere else.
I agree. The depth is beautiful, absolutely beautiful. And also, because the offensive side is so exciting right now, it's so awesome to have potential great quarterback play right in front of us. But make no mistake about it, I've been paying attention to the other side of the football. And yes, you are correct. Poles did make a play for Judon. The Patriots wanted a second round from the Bears. The Bears would not budge. So the reason why they went with Atlanta's third-round pick over the Bears' third-round pick is because they felt like the Atlanta would have a record wouldn't be as good as the Bears. That's the best way to put it. I didn't want to, really cut the Falcons, but that's the truth. They felt like the Falcons are not going to be as good as the Bears, and that tells you something right there. That tells you that the league is paying attention. Okay, New England is a very savvy organization, and for them to say, no, we're not going to do a deal with you because these guys are probably going to give us the better pick. That means they know something's cooking too. And remember, Atlanta's got Kirk Cousins as their quarterback, and they're still saying, we think that your team's going to be better, and it's because of the moves that have been made on both sides of the ball. And I'll tell you what, though, honestly, we might not need Judon. Because Daniel Hardy has been playing with his hair on fire in the postseason. This dude got another sack yesterday, got the fumble recovery. He's got a nose for the football, and I'm paying attention to him, brother.
Yeah, I mean, you really hit the nail on the head. I mean, that's the truth about Chicago sports, right? So the truth is stated when you're talking about the Atlanta Falcons. And I mean, look, they have Kirk Cousins, but he is coming off an Achilles injury. And I understand that Kirk Cousins doesn't use a whole bunch of explosiveness. But, I mean, for a quarterback, everybody uses that footwork, right? And so, you don't know what type of quarterback you're going to get. And there is the real sense that Michael Penix Jr. could be the starter sooner than later, okay? And so that means if you have to go with a rookie quarterback, which I think is going to be very good at some point in his career, but I don't know if you want to go with him this early, especially with a new offensive staff and a new head coach. So I totally understand why they would want to go with the pick with Atlanta. But yes, I mean, that just goes to the fact that Ryan Poles is out there exploring every option, and they have got to make some tough decisions as they're going to have to make some cuts over the next 10 days as preseason goes along. So yes, I'm curious to see what else is out there. I think Hassan Reddick, I think the pass rusher, I think he's available as well. So I'm curious to see if the Bears are going to explore that option. Maybe that's a little bit closer to the trade deadline, but it sounds like the Chicago Bears are looking for every possible option to get better.
Yes, indeed. Ryan Poles is cooking. Let Ryan Poles cook. And this team is on the rise, and I love it. I love the build, and you mentioned the secondary who came away with another pick, Terrell Smith, who actually backs up Tyreek Stevenson. He's another solid player. Elijah Hicks was out there making plays. He backs up Jaquan Brisker. You're seeing very palpable roster depth out there, and it's just making me smile from ear to ear from where we were 2 years ago to where we're sitting now, where we've got a team on the precipice of making some real noise out there on the field. And I was really concerned in terms of the trenches on both sides of the football at the beginning of the season, but those concerns are really starting to go away a lot. I'm starting to see the trenches are starting to be controlled on both sides. And yes, this is preseason, small sample size. We're not going to know until the real bullets. And, so we do, I think that that's a very important thing. And it's something that me and you, we do a good job of prefacing that, hey, this is just preseason, but it is still football. And it is still professional football players. So, yeah, maybe you take it with a grain of salt to a degree, but at the same time, there are players out there playing for a job. So there is competitive football going on. And I just enjoy right now what's happening.
Yeah, I mean, you make a great point, because the bottom line is, look, you only can take 53 into the season. Everybody's going to have to make cuts over these next 10 days, which means that there's some players on this roster that could be playing for you that have to go. I mean, and that's just the bottom line. That's across the NFL. So, yes, these guys are fighting for a position, and we've talked about it several times. The defense is the better unit. Okay, so I know we're probably going to get some flack from the listeners out there because they're talking about the offense, but the defense is the better unit with the Chicago Bears. All right, it was proven last season, and that momentum is carrying on to this year. And I think it's even higher now that they know that they have a field general at the quarterback that is going to get them points. So I think that the defense is salivating to get out there on the defensive end and stop some offenses and give Caleb Williams a short field to work with, okay? Because I think that defense is going to shine even more, because it's just going to show you how tough that defense is, and then it's just going to show you, look, man, they're playing on shorter fields now, okay? So that's what I'm talking about with the defense, and just how good they've gotten.
It's all three phases. All three phases have been shored up: defense, offense, and special teams. And shout out to Poles once again for drafting a punter in the 4th round, which he got a lot of flack for, including me. I'm not going to act like I didn't give it to him for picking Torrey Taylor. But let me tell you something. The kid's a weapon. The kid is a weapon. I've seen enough in the last couple of preseason games. When the season kicks off, the kid is going to be a real weapon and a real problem for opposing teams. He's going to be pinning you a lot. I mean, there was one punt, I believe. I think it was yesterday, maybe even last week. I think it was yesterday. Yes, he kicked from the end zone, and the punt went 50+ yards from the end zone.
Yeah,
that people do not understand how much of a real weapon that really is. Defense and special teams can win games despite poor quarterback play. And when you've got solid quarterback play, watch out. Once again, this is Rico and Mac, the truth about Chicago and sports with Rico and Mac on WRMN 1410 AM here in Elgin, Illinois, as we get ready to head into break. When we come back, we're going to be joined by Robert Little, as we're going to be sitting here breaking down more Bears. We're going to also break down and talk about the Chicago Sky, who have returned from Olympic break and are looking to push for the playoffs. So we got still a fun field show for everyone. Make sure you stay with us. Rico and Mac and the truth about Chicago sports. Rico, as we get ready to head to break real quickly, tell me this. Who has surprised you the most so far this preseason?
Man, I mean, other than the obvious with Caleb Williams, all right, like he's definitely for sure impressed me. But I love what I saw defensively yesterday out of Kyler Gordon, all right, because I like him a lot. I think that the health is really the biggest question for him.
Yep.
But when I saw him come off the edge for that quarterback sack, I was like, wow, I didn't know how explosive he could be. So I like him a lot. All right. So when we're looking at just the corners and things like that, he's definitely been a surprise for me. And it's just a matter of, can he stay healthy? Because I absolutely think that he's an impact player for the Bears this year. And I think he is going to really get a lot of opportunities, especially if that front line can get home. Right?
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Once again, Rico and Mac and the truth about Chicago sports here on WRMN 1410 AM in Elgin, Illinois. Keep with us as we are getting ready to head into break in a second, and we're going to bring in Robert Little when we return from break. We got a couple more minutes, and I'm going to say the guy that really has so far impressed me preseason-wise, I'm going to have to give it to, honestly, I've been impressed with Roma Doomsday. I mean, watching him in practice, watching it now happen in preseason, the Bears were really high on him. I was on the fence. I wasn't sure between Malik Neighbors and Rome. I was leaning more towards Malik, but I had faith that the Bears would make the decision that was best for the organization. And so far, he has lived up to all of the hype and then some. And so I really thought that maybe him coming in with such an alpha dog receiver room, he might get overshadowed a little bit. But this dude is standing out like new money. And yeah, I am very much impressed. He is very much all of the hype. And you know what? Wow. It's one thing to have that franchise quarterback, but to have two franchise wide receivers in Rome and more, and maybe even Keelan Allen, if we want to be honest, as a third. What do we got cooking here in Chicago, brother?
Yeah, I mean, look, the excitement there and just what the Chicago Bears are doing, I mean, it's just like night and day. And I mean, I've said this about this in comparison to the Chicago Bulls. I wish that they had this type of direction with the franchise. That's the biggest difference with the Bears right now, is that they have a purpose. They have a plan, right? And they're executing this. So look, the Chicago Bulls need to take notes of what the Chicago Bears are doing.
I think honestly, Rico, all Chicago teams need to take note, because I didn't even bother to touch on them baseball teams, because one is completely out of it on the south side, and the north side guys are clinging. They're hoping, they're clawing, but it is just a disaster. I think that everybody needs to pull out the pen and take a note of how to do it right when it's been a disaster for so long. And that's just what's got everybody so excited here at this town. As we get ready to head into break with Rico and Mac, the truth about Chicago sports on WRMN 1410 AM. That's the one thing that we are so happy to hopefully, finally, just maybe have a turnaround, and we can actually enjoy some sports instead of being miserable. When we get back from break, Robert Little will be joining us. Thank you. We'll hear Truth About Chicago Sports.
If you can't decide on dinner, have everything. Golden Corral at 154 South Gary Avenue in Bloomingdale has an endless buffet with over 150 items to choose from. There's an unmatched variety of food for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, prepared fresh throughout the day. If you're craving something specific, call or check out their menu. Golden Corral rotates the buffet often. Golden Corral in Bloomingdale. They're the only one for everyone. Visit goldencorral.com.
For many years, Italian Pizza Kitchen in Roselle has been serving quality and excellence. Italian Pizza Kitchen is family-owned with experience in preparing authentic Italian cuisine with the freshest, highest quality ingredients since the 50s. Your food is always prepared fresh with the same traditions, recipes, and standards that they've perfected over the years. Italian Pizza Kitchen has a passion for great cuisine and customer service. Visit ItalianPizzaKitchen.com.
This is McGruff the Crime Dog, and I need you to help me take a bite out of crime. Counterfeit products are popping up everywhere. Fake sneakers, fake cosmetics, and even fake pills. Crooks are selling counterfeit versions of just about everything. Last year, billions of dollars worth of counterfeit products were sold in the U.S. Sure, it may seem like saving a few bucks on the things you want isn't a big deal, but counterfeits are usually made in unsafe conditions, potentially using hazardous and even lethal ingredients that could harm you and others. And the money you've paid, it goes right into the hands of criminals and may support child labor, drugs, and even gangs. Smells like big crime to me. So if you still think buying fake products is harmless, think again. And remember, if you don't know where the products came from, how could you know where the money goes? You're smart, buy smart. Go for real. Learn more at mcgruffpsa.org. This message is brought to you by the United States Patent and Trademark Office and the National Crime Prevention Council.
Is it noon already? Take your lunch hour up a notch with Out to Lunch from 12 to 2 p.m. right here on WRMN 1410 a.m. Unwind with the perfect blend of soothing sounds and lighthearted conversations that'll make every bite taste better. Whether you're in office or out on the town, let us serve up the best in radio company. Stream on the go with our app on Google and Apple. Because lunchtime is your time. Out to Lunch every day from 12 to 2 on WRMN 1410 a.m. The talk of the town.
From morning coffee to your evening commute, WRMN 1410 AM is here for you. The faithful friend that brings you local news, timely topics, and the friendliest voices in the Valley. Stay informed, entertained, and engaged with our full lineup of shows, streaming all day, every day at WRMN1410.com or on the WRMN app. Wherever you are, we're right there with you. So why switch stations? Stick with the one that has it all. WRMN 1410 AM, your daily companion, your constant conversation.
And welcome back to the show. This is The Truth About Chicago Sports with Rico and Mac on 1410 WRMN, Elgin, Illinois. Let's go. If you're looking for a good time of family fun for the summer, make sure to go out and check out the Schaumburg Boomers. The Schaumburg Boomers. Go feel the boom. For all ticket prices, information, and events, go to SchaumburgBoomers.com. Once again, that's Schaumburg Boomers. Feel the boom. And now, as we welcome to the show, we have joining us today BSO host and the Headline Kings. Great honor to have you back. Special guest to the show, Robert Little. Welcome back, my friend.
Yes, I appreciate you having me on. It's a great time of year to be sports fans, especially in the Chicago area. You guys have a lot to look forward to.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. And I was chopping it up with Rico G, and we were breaking down the Bears game. And I'll tell you what, I don't know if you got a chance to catch any of it, but what did you think of Caleb?
Well, Caleb, and I've said this since he got drafted. I felt like the Bears were a great situation for him because they're not like a traditional number one draft pick. It wasn't like they lacked talent. You know, they got that pick because of a trade. And there's so much talent around him that's going to make him a better quarterback his rookie year. What I saw was Caleb Williams is capable of doing things at the quarterback position that maybe only 2 or 3 other quarterbacks in the NFL can do. A Lamar Jackson, a Patrick Mahomes, a Josh Allen, those type of things, those magical things that you just say, how did that actually happen? He's capable of doing that, and you've seen it a bit in preseason. The things that he's going to have to work on is what I like to call the boring things. And these are the things that make the Patrick Mahomes really, that's the difference. Quarterback and one that just has highlights on Sports Center. When it's 3rd and 5, and instead of trying to get the 50-yard running around type of thing, you just get 6 yards in the first down and keep the chains moving. Making plays in the pocket, taking the check down. And he has the spectacular stuff down, but it's that down to down consistency that I hope as the year goes on he continues to get better at.
Yes, 100%. That's exactly what me and Rico touched on earlier. I said that the simple things he does so correct, and that it's that added bonus of being able to have those spectacular plays. But he does the simple things so well that you're just like, wow. Like you say, you would think any quarterback could do that, but believe it or not, a lot of quarterbacks struggle with that. The simple check down, the little short out route. And Caleb is just capable of just comfortably doing those things. But then he's also very comfortable doing those spectacular plays as well. And it's just something that, like you said, the city is truly, truly excited right now. And it's a huge thing. Definitely.
You can't teach it. And now they didn't cut you off. But some things you can't teach, but you do need to harness it to know when to kind of pull it out.
And so I know you got a chance to watch him out there at USC. Me and Rico, we talked about this yesterday on the post-game recap. Is he a generational talent? Is that too big? Is that word thrown out too big for him, or is he that real deal, Robert?
No, I think when you say generational talent, that's something that you can't really put on someone until they actually prove it. But what you can do is you can visually see that they have the potential to be that. Some guys it's like, okay, this guy has the potential to be something special. And some guys you look at and say, hey, this guy could be good for 20 years, but, he may not necessarily do the things that you would say is a generational talent. So, like, for example, I think Bo Nix is going to be a very good NFL quarterback for, a long period of time. But that's kind of like saying Matt Ryan was a good quarterback for him. Matt Ryan is not Tom Brady. He's not Peyton Manning. He's not Patrick Mahomes. He's not he's not Aaron Rodgers, but he was very good for a long time. I think Caleb Williams has the potential to be on a different level. I think the one thing that USC did to him, that the habit that he's going to have to kind of get rid of in his mind, at USC, the defense was so bad that he felt like he had to score a touchdown every play, that they had to score 50 points every play. Mm-hmm. So every play to him was like, I have to make something spectacular happen. That's not the NFL. Even the worst defenses are 10 times better than what he had at USC. So he just needs to understand that sometimes, taking a sack, running out of bounds, sliding, throwing the ball away, that's as good as, a 50-yard touchdown sometimes in the NFL, because the way you lose in the NFL is turnovers and not consistently, getting first downs as an offense. So just getting out of that bad habit of thinking, hey, every play has to be a spectacular one. But I think, that's something that you learn on the job.
How good can this defense really be? Honestly, are we talking maybe something special or just a top 10 defense?
I don't see anything special. I see solid.
Okay.
And I think solid and opportunistic. That's the type of defense you need to have to win, championships. It's like, can they create turnovers and can they create sacks? That's two things I think you guys can do well. You want to make sure that
you're getting Caleb the many opportunities. So you need to get people off the field. So I think the defense has a chance to be, very good. And like I said, that's one of the great things for Caleb is that he came in to a team that really is not bad. For a number one pick, this is one of the better situations that, is much better than what I felt C.J. Stroud had last year, much better than what the kid in Carolina had, much better than what I think the Colts and Anthony Richardson, had. I think he's been blessed to come into a situation where he doesn't have to do everything himself because there are players around on both sides of the ball that can help him.
Yes, I agree. And, I'll tell you this right here, and I think that you and Rico can both agree with me on this when it comes to the C.J. Stroud situation. I think a lot of times the thing that gets left out, the fact is that DeMeco Ryans is a dog. DeMeco Ryans was a dog when he was a player. DeMeco Ryans is a dog as a coach, okay? Yeah. And that guy, he just seems like one of those guys that can just bring greatness out of people. And C.J. Stroud was not ever going to fail with that guy as his coach because he's one of those few coaches that knows how to put his players in the right position right away. And people think that every coach knows how to do that, and they don't, a la what happened with Justin Fields. Certain coaches just they get it right away. They just know how to get to a player quickly, and DeMeco Ryans is one of those guys. So shout out to him.
Coaching, I think is important, and that was maybe my one fear with the Bears is that you kind of have you have a lame duck coach. Now, if Caleb comes in and do well, it could be a Tom Brady, Bill Belichick situation. You just never know. A quarterback sometimes can change the trajectory of a coach. But having that lame duck and having him just kind of there and really no stability behind it, you see what happened with Justin Herbert. Good quarterback that came out, but it's always a new coach. And it's hard to get consistency with your quarterback when you're changing coaches and offensive coordinators, every other year. So we have to see how that goes. I think the best thing for the Bears is that it's successful. So there's some continuity and some consistency with your quarterback and your team going forward.
Yes. We don't want that changeover. He just gets in. He just learns his offense. New head coach again. That's just not fair to him, especially a kid that's this talented. He needs consistency. This is, once again, Rico and Mac, The Truth About Chicago Sports here on WRMN 1410 AM in Elgin, Illinois. We're joined by Robert Little today as we break down the Bears, and now we're going to transition, and I'll let you take over some of the questioning with this, Rico. We're going to talk Chicago Sky, and I'm going to leave this to you guys. Rico, you could kind of come in, comment on this first. Can the Chicago Sky make the playoffs, first off?
I've said it before. I think that it's possible that they can make the playoffs. I think that they make a lot of, I think, mental mistakes at times in games. Certainly that last game that they played against, I think it was LA, or the last game that they just had out of the break didn't go so well. But I just think that that's just the bottom line for the Chicago Skies. I think it's just something about just attention to detail. Just getting better, and you see, it's a young team, just trying to figure it out at times.
Is the race over, Robert? Is the Rookie of the Year race over? Has Caitlin sealed it, and there's nothing the Angel can do at this point? Just might as well just say, hey, it's hers and let her have it.
Well, you got to have to see how, to me, when you talk about MVPs or rookie, any type of award, until it gets out like really, really close to the end, it's hard to just give somebody, thing. I mean, Caitlin Clark can go out and shoot 0 for 10 the next game, and people will be like, oh, Angel Reese should be the Rookie of the Year. I think there was a time earlier in the year where Angel Reese was ahead of Caitlin Clark. I think Caitlin Clark has made up that stagger and has passed her probably, within that last, the last couple of weeks before the Olympics, and then, coming out of the break here. I think they're both wonderful players. It's a hard comparison because it's like, comparing a wide receiver, to a linebacker. It's two different, they play two different styles. They're two different type of personalities on two different teams. So when you try, there's not an apples to apples comparison. So you really just have to kind of lean into, who do you think is having the most, impact on their team? And I think because the Fever are playing a little better as well, I think that, and you can contribute them playing better specifically to Caitlin Clark playing better. I think that's where people see a little bit of a separation between the two, right now.
And I'm going to be real with you guys, because this is the truth about Chicago sports. I'm going to call Angel out. I think it was a little bit too much kicking it during the break, a little bit too much hanging out, being rock star, and not in the gym. Where was Kobe? Kobe was in the gym. Okay, and she's been rusty. The last 2 games that she's come back from break, she has shot poorly. Yes, she's been able to rebound, but the poor shooting has definitely been costly for the Sky. They struggled against a very porous LA Sparks team, mainly because of her poor shooting. Yeah, she had a big bucket down the stretch, and I'm the biggest Angel fan, and I'm always going to back her. But I'm also going to call her out, and the Sky need her. The Sky need her way more than I think even she realizes. And even in the scoring column, yes, the rebounds are awesome, but you can't be shooting 4 for 13. You can't be shooting 4 for 11 when you're around the basket player.
Yeah, I think the thing with Angel, and it's once again, it's one of those apples to oranges type of situation. She is definitely part of this, social media era. I don't think she makes any bones about she likes being famous. She likes attention. Obviously, she likes being, she's a life of the party. I got to interact a little bit with her at the WNBA All-Star game. She's the type of person when she walks in a room, everybody kind of, comes around her. She stirs the drink a bit, and that's fine. But like you said, you have to balance that with your on the court play, because if not, then there's going to be criticism, for that. We've seen that with NBA players, for forever. Somebody like James Harden or Allen Iverson or whatever, that, do they party too much? Do they not take the game seriously, enough? And like you said, she's needed for the team to be successful. I think she can wake up from a hangover and get 10 rebounds. She's just naturally gifted like that. But obviously there's weaknesses in her game that she really, really needs to work on, because if she ever developed any type of consistent post game, we're looking at someone that could probably average 20 and 10, 20 and 12, which for the WNBA would put you in MVP conversation.
Yes, indeed. Rico, what's the deal with Kennedy Carter? Is she going to be a detriment to the team, or is she going to help this team to make the playoffs? Rico, are you there? Did we lose Rico? I think we might have lost Rico, Robert. All right, we lost Rico. We'll shoot back. Well, I'll shoot that question to you. How do you think, because I mean, it's been some hubbub. I heard a couple, she was really upset about the ranking, and then it kind of seemed like there was some issues internally in the team. And whenever someone says a player's sick, non-COVID illness, that usually means you got sat by the coach and they're just trying to save face. So how do you see that situation moving forward? Do you think Kennedy is going to be able to help or hurt?
Well, our history is that it's never been the talent. She's a very talented player, probably the most talented player on the team. And I definitely understand why she thought she should be higher in the ranking, because when she's locked in and she's playing, she's one of the better players in the WNBA. It's just her history shows that she could be a problem behind the scenes. And that's the reason why she didn't start the season. She's on the bench to start because they want to see if she can handle that. I mean, I think that's something that could go, either way. Without her, though, I don't think they have a chance at all. They need her scoring. And so it's one of those kind of gift and a curse things. You're going to have to maybe deal with some of the other things if you want to have any chance of going forward, at least for this season, if they were to get into the playoffs.
Okay, definitely. And I think we got Rico back. Rico, what did you think of Camilla yesterday? And I think kind of almost like her coming out.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? I loved her game when she was at the University of South Carolina. And I think that, as she continues to just really figure out, what her niche is going to be in the WNBA, I think she has a terrific chance of getting to her ceiling. And so, I think that as she continues to keep working, I definitely love, what her career projection is going to look like.
I wonder that too. And it's interesting. She was drafted before Angel. And so the thought process was that she would be better. But so far, Angel has been the more impactful rookie. Robert, do you think that Carmilla in the long run will be the more successful player as she starts to become more acclimated in the WNBA?
Probably. I mean, I think there was a reason she was drafted, before Angel Reese. I mean, she has a better post game. Now that she's getting the minutes, she's getting the same amount of rebounds. I thought it was kind of odd because they're similar players, but Camilla's a bigger, a little stronger, a little more of a force, in the paint. So sometimes having them both together kind of clogs things, up a bit. And I think that's what, coaches try to figure out, what's the kind of the best rotation, for them, which is why sometimes you see Angel with, 27, 30 minutes, and you only see Camilla with 15, 16. And a lot of people are kind of not happy, about that. But I think they're both talented. I think, when you're dealing with young players, I always think the second year, you kind of get a real idea of what you actually got, after kind of the rookie thing kind of wears off and they get acclimated to the league and the league gets acclimated to them. I think you really get an idea of where they're going to go, in the long run. So next year, especially with them both having a break and being able to kind of work on their game and being healthy coming in, I think it'd be very interesting. I
think so, too. And I'll tell you, sneaky move that happened before they went to the break. Marina Marbury was traded to the Connecticut Suns. And, it hurt the team this year. But I believe that the Sky really are trying to do the same thing that we see the Chicago Bears have done now, the Blackhawks, is that we got to start planning. You can't always be about immediate. You've got to start looking for big picture goals. The things that Ryan Poles did last year are starting to pay off this year. And so I think that that's a situation that happened right there, is that Marina Marbury, it hurt the team to trade one of their better three-point shooters. But the addition, the extra picks that they got, I think it's putting them in a position where they could be a powerful team for the long haul.
Yeah, and one of the good things, I mean, even if you don't make the playoffs, the talent that's coming in from the college game it's loaded. And the fact that there's only, so many teams, you're kind of guaranteed to get one of these talented players. So even if this year, I wouldn't say tank, but let's say that they don't make the playoffs, that puts them in a great position to potentially, get a top four, pick. And that's going to be an excellent player. And I do think they need, shooters and things of that nature. So I think they're trying to build, from maybe Angel and Camilla, from the bottom, from the inside out. But they're going to have an opportunity to really build through the draft because there's a lot of talented players there.
Excellent. That is such a great breakdown. I want to thank you once again, Robert. We always love when you join the show. You are welcome anytime. I always, as soon as I think, Robert, it's time for I hit you up because I want you on. We definitely look forward to having you on again, and we're going to break down more Bears. This will be the season will probably be starting once we have you on again, and hopefully we'll be singing praises of Caleb to the top of the roof. Indeed. If you want to give any shout outs to anything that we need to be paying attention to upcoming?
No, just out here, just doing my thing as always. You can follow me on Twitter at BSO. Like I said, I feel the Bears fans have suffered enough, so I'm really hoping that this works out for you.
Definitely, man. We thank you so much for joining. Once again, this is Rico and Mac and the Truth About Chicago Sports on WRMN 1410 AM in Elgin, Illinois. Rico, my bros, I always love when you're on here. Another great show. Thank you. And, obviously we'll be doing that post-game breakdown of the last Bears preseason game next week. Please make sure to check that out. That's going to be streaming on YouTube, WRMN YouTube channel. and also on Spotify. Guys, this has been an awesome show. Thank you both for being here again. Thank you to all the listeners out there. We appreciate you. Once again, feel free to never hesitate to call us on the call-in line, 847-931-1410. This has been another great week of the Truth of Chicago Sports. We appreciate you. We love you. And you guys have a great weekend. Guys, thanks for joining the show this week.
Thanks for having us.
Over the years, you've brought them into your home. You were prescribed opioids after the C-section, when Dad injured his back, when your basketball star tore his ACL,